Hi everyone, welcome to today's practice. If you're totally new to the channel, my name is Fernanda. It's really great to meet you. And if you've been here for a little bit, it's great to have you again. We're gonna get started today with a sequence that's gonna take us towards crow pose. And to help us really explore that shape a little bit deeper, we're going to explore the theme of courage. So if you have a yoga block or a book that you could bring to practice, go ahead and grab it. If you don't have any of these things, that's totally fine. You can still take this class, all right? But let's get started laying down on our backs in a start shape. So legs are gonna go wide, arms are gonna go wide to the sides, maybe even up and overhead. Let's take 3 deep breaths in here to arrive. So inhale deeply. Exhale it out. Twice more. Last full breath in. Start to bring the word courage into your awareness. And let the breath come out. And then still connecting with the word courage. Maybe ask yourself, is there an area in your life that you feel like you could cultivate a little bit more courage at this time? And maybe even thinking of a time in your life where you were very courageous, very brave. And see if you can recall how you felt. What were the sensations you felt in your body at that time? And then taking your last breath in here to seal the intention of commitment with your own courage throughout practice today. And then start to bring the knees into the belly, give yourself a hug, eyes can blink open if they were closed. And we're gonna start with abdominal brace, which is a shape to help us start activating our core. So reach for your block or book, if you have them for the practice. And we're gonna make the shin parallel with the mat, plant the block or book on the top of your shins, and then start to stack your knee right on top of your hips. So notice in here if there's a gap underneath your lower back, which is the tendency a lot of times. But I want you to try to close that gap. So bring the navel into the spine, maybe even bring the knees a little bit closer to you. Flex your toes. And then start to press your hands onto your thighs. So you press the hands into the thighs and the thighs into the hands. Relax your shoulders. Take a few breaths in here and see if you can start feeling the whole core of your body activating. If you're not feeling anything, press into the thighs a little bit more and keep resisting that push. So press and pull at the same time. Holding just for 5. Lower back still glutes down on the mat. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Block can come out to the side. Keep your knees bent. This time start to extend your arms towards the ceiling. And then start to lift your head and upper back away from the floor. And then try to squeeze your knees to touch your upper arm in any length where you can touch it. And just squeeze everything in here. This is your supine crow pose. So holding just for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your head down, plant the soles of the feet down on the mat, press the heels down, and then lift your hips up. Soft bridge pose. If you want to move the hips side to side, let yourself do that. And then let's come into a tabletop position. So you can roll back and forth, you can roll to your side, but let's come onto all fours in here. So coming onto your hands and knees, and knowing that we're going to crow pose today, we're going to do a lot of work on the wrists. So if your wrist tends to be a little bit tender, this is the time that you're going to use to explore and start to find more activation, strength, and flexibility in there. So start to spin your fingers out to the sides. Notice how you feel. Your hands are like shoulder width distance. And then if that feels okay, keep spinning your fingers, but now towards your knees. And then in here, really claw the mat with your hands. Press the floor away from you. And then let's find 2 rounds of cats and cows. So starting with your cow, inhale, looking forward, squeeze the shoulder blades together, flick the tailbone up. And then exhale, tuck the chin into the chest, plug the navel into the spine as you send your sitting bones energetically down towards the mat. One more time, just like that. Inhale, open and feel the space opening on the front side body. And then exhale, feel that space opening on the back side body. There we go. Re-flipping your fingers forward, long spine in here. Start to tuck your toes under, take a breath in. When you take a breath out, find your downward facing dog. Send your hips up and back to the sky. In here, let yourself move your hips side to side. Maybe even the heels drop to one side and to the other. And then start to find stillness in the center. Feeling the 4 corners of your hands firmly planting down on the mat. Index fingers are pointing forward or slightly out to the sides, whatever feels best for your shoulders. And the next time you inhale, look forward. Exhale, take baby steps to the top of the mat as you find Uttanasana and fold. Inhale, bring your hands to your shins, find a halfway lift. Get a very long spine in here. And then exhale, fold once again all the way down. Inhale, root down through your feet so that you can rise up to stand, arms up to the sky, palms are connected. And then exhale, hands right down to your heart. Inhale, circle the arms down and all the way up, Urdhvastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana and fold. Inhale, hands come to your shins, take your halfway lift. Plant your hands down, step your feet back, take a plank pose. And here, option always to lower down the knees as you take a full breath in. And use your next breath out to lean forward and pull yourself down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, point your feet, rise, cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. One more time, just like that, in a little bit faster pace to warm up the body. So inhale, look forward. Exhale, find your way to the top of the mat, Uttanasana. Inhale, hands to shins, halfway. Exhale, Uttanasana and fold. Inhale, rise up to stand, arms to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way. Exhale, Uttanasana, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back, plank pose. With the exhalation, you pull down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths in here. Full inhalations and exhalations. The next time you inhale, send your right leg all the way up to the sky, 3-legged dog. Exhale, bring your knee into your belly as you step it through and rise into a crescent lunge, reaching both arms up to the sky. In here, take a full breath. Notice how you feel into your body. How can you explore that sense of courage within here in this shape? Maybe it's through the mindset. Maybe it's through really trusting your body and your legs. Maybe it's through the breath. Last inhalation. And then exhale, we're gonna go for crouching tiger to the back of the mat. So bend your left knee, your left toes are pointing on a diagonal to the left. Your right toes are gonna be parallel with the short edge of your mat. So make sure that the right foot's fully planted down. Hinge your hips back behind you, extend the crown of the head forward, and then start to plant your hands down towards the mat. In here, press the floor away from you. Imagine that you're like cultivating a cat spine in here, so puffing your upper back. And then in here, option to start leaning forward, bend your elbows, and find a half crow as you lean your left knee on the top of your upper left arm. Take one more full breath. And then replant your left foot down, walk yourself to the top of the mat, plant both of your hands down, step back, plank pose, inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 big breaths. The next time you inhale, your left leg lifts all the way up. Exhale, knee to chest, step it through, crescent lunge. Rise your arms, let your upper body lift. You're still feeling both sides of your hips squaring to the front. Your back heel is really spiking up to help out with that movement on the hips. Noticing the thoughts that are crossing your mind, the pace and cadence of your breath. And take your final inhalation in here. When you exhale, crouching tiger to the back of the mat. So bend your right knee, plant your left foot in a lateral with your left side. And then hands are gonna come down on the mat as you press the floor away from you. And once again, start to lean forward. Maybe bend your elbows. Maybe you stack your right knee on the top of your right upper arm. Kicking that right heel towards your bum. Take a full breath in. And out, plant your right foot, walk yourself to the top of the mat, step back, plank pose, inhale. Exhale, chaturanga, lower. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 big breaths. Start to bring your knees down to the mat. Find child's pose. Knees are gonna go wide, big toes perhaps to touch. Lower the forehead down to your block, or maybe you rest the forehead on the mat or on your book. Brené Brown mentions on her book, Dare to Lead, that vulnerability and authenticity are intrinsically connected with courage. There is no way that you're gonna have one without having the other two. And so as we're heading towards crow pose in our practice, I invite you now to start bringing into your awareness these 3 words, all connected: courage, vulnerability, and authenticity. A lot of times having courage means to be vulnerable and to know that, okay, like I'm not ready to try something yet. I'm not ready to take that step just yet. And also takes a lot of authenticity to know yourself and to honor yourself and your limitations, as well as when you feel ready to do something. And so take a moment to reflect on that. And then slowly we're gonna start to make our way into a seat towards our heels. So walk your hands towards your knees, bring your knees closer together. As you sit on your heels, I'm gonna present you today 2 ways to get into your crow pose. I feel like a lot of times we don't feel very courageous or very brave to try something because we don't know like all the different ways that could take us to the same destination. And so that's my intention with showing you 2 ways to go into your crow pose here on this class today, okay? So first way to do it, which is how you're gonna see crow happening a lot of times, which is this super narrow stance for crow pose. So hands are gonna be shoulder width distance apart, and the top of the knees are gonna be connected onto the upper body, the upper tricep. And if you like that stance, you can totally keep it working with that. But then bring your block or book for your feet as you use it as a support to help you find more height in here. And then maybe you float 1 foot up, maybe you float the other, maybe you choose to float both of them. I cannot do that just yet. But make sure that your gaze is slightly forward into the floor in front of you. You're still pressing the floor away from you. And then maybe see what that does, if it works for you or not. And if that was like not good, still didn't work, and you want to see and explore another variation of crow pose, I'm going to show you a wider version of crow that tends to be a little bit more accessible for most of us because it gives us a bigger point of contact of the legs with the upper arm. And our hips, our bum, it's not going so high as when we're like up here, right? So it might be a little less scary and you feel like trying. So for this shape, it's like you're gonna have your arms really wide, like as if you're going for gecko pose, you know, where the arms are like outside of your mat and you have like a really wide stance with your hands. That's what we wanna try in here. And then notice in here how my knee, what's connecting on the top of my upper arm, it's not the top of my knee, but the inside of my leg. Okay, so that gives you a little like more connection of the leg with the arm. And then from here, once again, hands are wider than shoulders. And then from here, you start to lean forward. And then instead in here, to try to kick your heel into your bum, you're gonna simply try to like kick your feet away from each other. So it's kind of like a frog crow situation in here. And then you give yourself a few more tries as you're still gazing forward. Maybe you can float one or both of your feet. And then take a pause. Notice how you felt and know that these two options for crow pose are always available for you during your practice and that there's no better or worse. It's literally just you noticing how your body's feeling on that day and what do you feel up to trying, okay? So take a breath and you can put your block out to the side whenever you're done with your explorations. And we're gonna come down and find a seat. Legs are gonna be long in front of you on the mat. Take a full breath in, start to reach your arms up to the sky. And the next time you exhale, fold forward on the top of your thighs for head to knee pose, Paschimottanasana. Your hands can land wherever they land. See if you can connect your belly onto your thighs. And keep reaching and broadening the collarbones forward and wide. Your head drops down towards your legs. And then with the next inhalation you take, you start to bring your spine up straight one more time. And we're gonna come all the way down onto our backs. So as you come to lay down, make sure that you bring your block or book with you if you have it. We're gonna take a round off bridge pose. So in here, start to bring your feet hip-width distance apart. Squeeze the shoulder blades together on the back body. And then pressing through the heels, you'll lift your hips up. Feel the relief onto your quads, onto your hip flexors. And then slide that block or book on the sacrum, which is that triangular bone at the base of your spine. So block is right underneath it. You feel the sense of really being held by the block, by the book. Or if you don't have those props, you're feeling the sense of connection with the air, with the space in between your hips and the earth. Take a breath in here. And if you're working with the block or book, here, invitation now to start extending your right leg to the right side of your mat, your left leg to the left side, sending your arms up and over your head. If you're in bridge, you can either choose to stay there or start to lower your hips down. Maybe move your legs side to side. But otherwise, we're kind of in this star shape with the support of the book or the block. Take a moment to honor your journey here on the mat today. Honor the connection with your courageous side, with your vulnerable side, and your authentic side. And then if the legs are long and you have the block or book underneath you, start to rebend your knees. Plant the soles of the feet down. And then press the heels down just enough to lift your hips so that you can remove your prop from underneath you. And then we're going to all together find our Savasana, our final shape. So legs and arms are extended. Flip your palms up towards the sky. A lot of times when we're working in cultivating courage, we can build up some spots of tension in the body, maybe on the face, on the jaw, shoulders. So bring your awareness towards these places in your body and see if you can send some extra breaths in there to help you release and start to relax these areas. And here in your Savasana, I recommend that you stay for at least from 5 to 7 more very long and deep breaths. And once again, thank yourself for showing up for your practice today, for taking the time to cultivate a little bit more courage in your life, in your day. And I'll see you on the next class. Thanks for being here. Namaste.